not your place to tell women what to do. We are gathered peacefully to speak and listen.
We're here in support. We're here in support.
On the edge. Let women speak. I'm a woman. Women speak.
It's a woman here. It's an actual woman. You guys are hypocrites. There's a woman here.
Am I not allowed to speak?
Yes guys, welcome back to the channel. News Now Yorkshire here. We're out in London in Hyde Park. We're all gathered at the Reformers Tree waiting for the arrival of Kelly J. Keane, ready for the Let Women Speak protest. Got the camera set up ready to go, so we'll see what's going on here in Hyde Park. Hiya. Sorry?
Why you've got a mask?
Oh, I just wear it for the videos and stuff.
For what?
I just wear it for the videos.
Why do you have to wear it for the video?
So that I'm not on the video.
Because what?
So that I'm not on the video.
Alright, what about everybody else that's on the video that's not wearing a mask? It just seems a bit odd.
So
you can wear a mask, but you want to video everybody else.
It's your event.
Aggression, boldly fat aggression.
Kelly J knows this.
Does she?
Yeah.
Okay.
This seems a little bit odd. Or when she's here, then obviously we can say, do you know those guys? Especially the one wearing the mask.
I'll show you.
Odd.
Yeah, I'm the guy who chased the person down in Sheffield through football.
Oh, well done. Yeah.
Yeah, do you remember that when she got super pod over?
I saw it on video.
Yeah,
It was
you
probably,
chased him down.
do you know the video you watched? It was our video.
Oh, well
Oh,
done.
was it?
Yeah. That's cool.
Well, you can imagine. I mean, I don't come up very often, so I
Well,
don't know who
when
you are,
we first
so-
got here, we did speak to the. We spoke to some of the organisers without the mask. Told them who he was and everything. So just so you know.
That's all right.
But yeah,
That's good.
nothing to worry about. Yeah, no problem. Kelly J has arrived. She has arrived. TV crew. Let's have their own TV crew there, look. Got a good spot for the camera.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. We are gathered here today. Before we start, I just want to remind everyone, at the end of this, so however long we speak for, goodness knows, but we'll walk down to, you don't have to do this, I feel it's my duty to do it, to be honest. We'll walk down to the speaker's corner where there's a lot of men loudly arguing about God. And the reason we came here in the first place, let me just say, is because their voices were so loud, and you're not allowed amplification. And whilst I've got a relatively loud, some may say piercing, voice, many women don't, and certainly women talking about very personal stories they don't want to shout like this volume about sexual assault or about their vulnerable children. And so we decided to come here, and I think it's a great place for us to have some sort of woman-centered space, right? However, there are men who occupy Speaker's Corner who don't think we should have any space, and the countries they come from sometimes, and the cultures they come from, and I include all cultures, I'm not just going to talk about Afghanistan, but there's many places where our voices are not allowed. Some might say in the Women's Equality Party. So it's not just overtly misogynist foreign cultures we might recognise, it's also some of our homegrown. But in Afghanistan, they've announced that women aren't allowed to talk they're not allowed to hear each other's voices in public, and so compelled to act in a very small and some might say virtue signalling insignificant way. I decided that we have to go and take up room there and use our voices and take up some space and make sure that men, particularly in Speaker's Corner, understand that women are not going to be silent just because they want us to. shut up is my good friend, and I know he's tuning in, Dr. Mr. He/Him Collins, Casey. If you don't know who that is, he's a bloody good bloke, and he lives in Australia, and he represented Rebel Wilson recently in a very famous defamation case. And he is most offended that I start the things that I do with a hello boys. Apparently that's very offensive. But also changing the words to brigadoon. So without further ado, what a day this has been, what a random, why it's almost like being a child. Oh, you did it. Honestly, in 3 times in his summing up, he mentioned my offence of using the song from Brigadoon. Brigadoon. It really does emphasise, and also it's very offensive to wave at men and say hello boys. I fear he's never heard of Wonder Bra, because that was what was in my mind when I was doing that. So if you've been keeping up with the case in Australia, it's kind of an overt symbol of what's happening everywhere, in which women, we can talk about our rights, but can we just have a certain tone? Can we just say it nicely? Can we say, get your penis out of our space nicely? Is there a way that we can say it that falls softly upon the ears of men who are easily offended? Mary, what's going on? No sound. Are we alright? Hello? So it's like, you can speak about it. This is said in a federal court in Australia. You can speak about it, but it's the way you speak about it. And I'm just going to say that I've given up speaking about it in a kind, well, I don't know if I ever did, speaking about it in a kind way that is delicate on the ears of some men. I think it deserves to be spoken about in a pretty aggressive, defiant way that says, I couldn't really give a fuck about my tone. Because there is nothing more aggressive than the sight of a penis in a women's changing room. There's nothing more aggressive than, I don't know, going to a library talk and finding Katie John Went. Petroon to some, not to me. But finding a man in a woman's face, and like many women, what that woman found out is that when some women dare to speak up about these men in our spaces, there's a whole queue of women waiting to tell them that they're wrong and unkind. I don't know who's looking upon Katie John Went and seeing a vulnerable woman, but I fear that this needing to be seen to be kind, I talk about this all the time, it's not being kind. There is no woman who thinks I am being kind when she denigrates another woman for trying to stop men in our spaces. She is simply wanting to signal that she is kind. She thinks that's the currency she needs to display in order to be seen to be kind. And it's like everything else that's being totally screwed up at the moment. It's performative, it's not real, it has no depth or substance, it's merely a performance. Some might say that is my thing of Brigadoon, it's simply a performance and they would be right. But the rest of it, this stuff, even the seagulls, the rest of us, what we're doing, often to great cost and risk, and I will say that there are ivory tower people, and then there are alternative ivory tower people who are pissed off that they never got in the original ivory tower. So now they set up a new ivory tower. Some might call it a sourdough WhatsApp group. That would be very mean. Some of them might call it that. Some of them might call it like a cool girl club. Some of them might call it podcast bro dudes. But there's this kind of circle jerk, back slapping, we know that they're not men, but we're not arsehole brigade. And I'm quite happy to be an arsehole. because I think that's the only way you can actually speak the truth. Genuinely not giving a shit whether someone thinks you're kind, nice, intelligent, working class, because there's a virtue apparently, whether or not you're working class, whether or not you're truthful, all of those things. I couldn't give a shiny rat's arse whether you believe any of those things about me, but I will just speak anyway. And in Australia at the moment, apparently, using a Barbie doll in a Nazi uniform, which I still think is funny, because a group of sock femmes decided to call me Nazi Barbie. Who knew that you could find such an image, even without AI? And I used it, and that's been used. And can I just say, I hope this doesn't sway anything, but the judge, perfect. The judge has never heard of this wokery, by the way, and so he's miffed at some of the arguments that go to prove that I'm a Nazi, because I don't know, I'm not a Nazi, but I imagine if you are a Nazi, you aren't using Nazi Barbie to indicate that you're a genuine Nazi, or issuing long statements about how abhorrent you find the whole thing. I reckon you'd be saying good things about it. I think you'd be saying lots of good things, and I think you'd be proud. I think if you're so stupid that you belong to an ideology like that, I think you're probably stupid enough to be proud of it. I don't think anyone's going, secretly you're a Nazi, but in public you're not. I think it's something that those arseholes are quite proud of. And I'm not the same arsehole as them. Anyway, so we're here to let women speak, because whilst we're not as bad as other countries, Afghanistan should warn you that our rights are given to us and they can be taken. Our right to free speech is given to us, although we don't really have it, and it can be taken. It doesn't have to be overt. It can be bit by bit, incremental, tiny bits of stuff. Self-censorship is first, maybe. But our government can take it. Just like vaccines aren't mandatory, but if you don't have a vaccine, you might not be able to fly, or you might not be able to go to your job, or your kids might not be able to go to whatever school. So these things are very much mandatory in all but name. So, Afghanistan women in the 1970s lived lives kind of like you and I, a bit like in Iran. In the early 70s, you find women, like, they look like Western women, they looked free, and it only takes, it's in some women's whole lifetime that they have watched freedom just disappear from their very eyes, to the point that their daughters are killed by the morality police for showing their hair or singing or dancing. And half of those morality police are women, and they're the same women as all told that women off in the toilets that they weren't kind. And so I think we should all be fair warned that if you do have the courage to speak out about this issue, you have to do it every single opportunity you get, because those opportunities for you to speak will get smaller and smaller if you don't keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And we are watching that all the time. And now we've got Wes Streeting, who's duplicitous at best, telling the Darlington nurses that he is going to make sure they have single-sex spaces. Whilst we've got the GRA, single-sex spaces, however you look at it, include men. And Sex Matters recently, and I just want to say I adore Maya and Helen. I think they're both, I like them both very, very much. I like the way they speak, I like what they say, and then I read the Sex Matters thing that says you should have to declare your sex, except in, you know, your actual sex, except in some cases where it's not necessary. And I just want to ask, when is that? When is it okay to deceive what you are? Like, that doesn't make any sense at all. When is it okay for a man to pretend he's a woman and tell it not even there. But when is it okay for a man not to have to say that he's a man? In what circumstance would that be all right for a woman unwittingly to sign up to something, to go to somewhere where the woman she was expecting was a man? Now, I don't know if I'm just going to go on for a tiny bit more and then I'll shut up. I had a caller in to Turf Talk that I did on Friday, I think, and a nice woman called Kate, who I know personally, and her mother is at the end of her life. She's terminally ill. She's not going to live very much longer. Kay is her main carer. And they had someone to come round to assess an elderly woman, for all they knew, in her own home on her own, to assess what she might need. I don't know what the man's name was, but say it was Lucy. But a woman was coming, according to them. A woman. Now, men have been turned away before who just turn up as men. But they thought it was a woman. And the man comes in, and everyone, because the daughter can't make a fuss, because she doesn't want her mother to be concerned, because her mother's quite vulnerable. So she has to go along with it. The mother is uncomfortable, but she has to go along with it because she's of a generation that thinks that if you don't dock your cap, you ain't gonna get anything. You have to respect these people. And then when the man leaves, the mother cries and is really upset that what the state, who came to care for her and look after her son, was a fucking man in a dress, like a fetishist who came to affirm his gender, right? And that's happening everywhere. That happened with a woman who wanted a chaperone who was having an intimate exam, like anal or vaginal exam, and she was asked, do you want a chaperone? And the person sent into her room with the surgeon that she's built a relationship with, because she's got a chronic illness for 10 years. And then what happens then? All trust is gone. That's it. Doomed. Can you really ever go back to that consultant without a feeling like both of you fucking know that something really terrible happened in that room? And he can't say, because he'll lose his job, for outing someone, because nobody can see these men. So he'd be outing someone, that's in his contract, that's the captured NHS, and she can't say, because she knows he can't confirm, so then she just loses the relationship that she's built up for 10 years. So these are real world harms of something that I think many of us, I mean, I've said these things for years, right? This is what can happen, that a man will come in as a chaperone, so you'll be in with two men, and I think I knew it could happen logically, but nobody really thinks it's going to happen. Because you all hope, in that moment that man steps in the door, someone just goes, no, I'm going to protect you. No, this is worth more than anything. I'm going to stand up for what's right and proper. And so many times people don't. So that's why when it comes to the recognition of legal gender, we have to just that is not a solution to this problem. There is no compromise on language, no matter how many followers you've got on Twitter. There is no, or whatever other achievements you may have, there is no compromise on language where you don't call a man a man. None. No compromise. And I think it is a crying shame when those people that some look up to for guidance on this issue really bow their heads to men and language, because language sometimes is the only thing we've got to articulate what we need to say, which obviously is, if you are speaking, it is language that you use, but it's these direct meanings. He means man. Why does it mean man? Well, a whole plethora of things that are frankly in our DNA to recognise as risk. Right? Sorry men, but some of you are dreadful. And we all know this. It's why little children, not because they're socialised into thinking women's voices are better, little children are far more worried about men's voices than women's, about men caring for those women, and so are dogs. And what does that tell you? That maybe little children and dogs know better, because they're just floating on their instinct. They're not waiting to be told what is a nice thing or horrible thing to say or feel, and that doesn't mean that all men are bad. Not all men, not your Nigel, but just enough of them to make us wary. Okay, right, we're here to let other women speak, but I'm a woman, so I feel like I also qualify to speak at LetWomenSpeak. So who else would like to speak?
men who pretend to be women are not a threat, whilst he's a man pretending to be a woman and a rapist. When crimes are reported, we can no longer trust the legacy media to tell us the truth about who perpetrated the crime. Shut up.
Sorry, they're just, it's men, that's why we come here and they're men.
Where's that go?
Oh, no, it's called
Reformers Street. Christian, I believe. You Christian? Huh? Yeah. I'm gonna think about it.
That's it.
I'm really annoyed with you. What's that snoring? Badly?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you have a play with us?
No,
I didn't really stop snoring.
Yeah, you came in very loud. Yeah. This guy's shaking really bad, you know. Shaking really bad.
No, I'm not.
I don't sleep.
Okay, already got liberal school.
Hello. Jesus is the only. Are you filming us?
Yes.
Jesus is the only way to salvation, and you need to be born again.
You see, you're very rude. We're obviously doing something.
I wasn't even talking to you because you're filming me. I would say you're rude. I'm not filming your face. So I'm not even talking. I'm just saying that you need to be born again because you're filming. So I want to share with you that you're a sinner.
Me, I'm coming over here. Do you mind? We don't mind. You're Christian.
Well, this is not a coven. This is a public space.
No, but we're filming.
Okay, so let's calm down because it's a public space.
Calm down.
I'm very calm. Thank you.
I'm here.
You're the ones who's not. That's why you're crying.
It's not a public event. It is, but we're filming. Women trying to be driving. You said me.
I don't trust you. There's no place for you to speak.
We're just starting. Is it fine? Is it okay, that's cool. Well, you've come to talk to me. I've asked you the question. That's what I'm talking. Okay? Thank you.
Using your physical size as a woman speaking about.
I'm a woman. I'm not your active.
You're the one who invaded. You're the aggressive. All right. You are the aggressive. You invaded. You invaded. On the outside.
18 hours, 5
It's not very Christian of you to come and interrupt someone's event, though, is it?
I'm not interrupting anything, I'm standing here.
No, you are.
Is there a problem with that?
You are.
Okay, well, you're deluded.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then somebody said, that lady was filming as a prisoner. Go to the outside.
We're not stopping. Okay, they have a right to do
We're here to support women. I was just setting up my camera.
Your camera up over there.
What do you think we're doing here?
I'm here to actually expose Tommy Robinson. I'll tell you straight, there is a lady called Tommy Robinson. You're only waiting to what to do in a women's Tommy Robinson.
I support women.
I don't care. Go over there. It's not your fault to tell women what to do. We are gathered peacefully to speak and listen.
We're here in support. We're here in support.
Go on the edge. Let women speak. I'm a woman. Women speak.
It's a woman, though. It's an actual woman. You guys are hypocrites. There's a woman here.
Am I not allowed to speak?
Hi, why are you hiding?
Let women speak.
Don't worry
It's
about
a
it.
woman speaking. Let her speak.
Ask Kelly.
What is wrong with you, your face?
Ask Kelly. Sorry, I'm just filming this. If you don't
Why are
mind.
you hiding your
Please.
face?
I'm just filming this.
Somebody was speaking. I wasn't going to speak, but until I was attacked, I wasn't talking to anybody. Sandy Woodhouse said that she would be here, so I came to interview.
Don't touch my. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Why is he hiding his face?
He doesn't need to. Direction of a constable in a rural park. Take 1 metre back, please.
Yeah,
Direction
no
of a constable in a
Yeah,
rural
I'm going
park.
back,
Just
back.
take 1 metre back.
I've done it.
Thank you very much.
That was crazy.
I know, thank you. Can you tell this lady though? Can you tell this lady? Yeah? Are we good? Are we good? Yeah, no problem. Sad. We shook hands, we're alright. She understands that.
Just that part.
No, but she's alright. We understand that.
Mask gets the people.
It was a misunderstanding.
We're literally here in support of her. So
Fine, stay at the edge and wait your turn.
Yeah, we're good. Kelly knows who we are.
Oh, you're disrupting the whole event, mister. Back off.
Can I just say?
Stood in front of women, trying to listen to a woman. Just stand over there. That's
Hello, doggy. Where are you going?
You just literally come and stood here once when I look at you and we'll discuss it.
sorry, tell me the words.
Royal Parks and Other Open Spaces Act regulations. Well, a number of things. First of all, you're coming over here and disturbing these people who are not in the bulk of speakers talking.
I didn't disturb anyone.
Yes, he
Did you know what happened?
They clearly object.
Did you hear what happened? Okay,
Tell me.
I set up my camera and I turned around and I said, before I even pressed my camera, I said, I'm going to move now. And she was like, no, just move anyways. And I was like, okay. I said, I'm going to move. And then she started yapping on at me and then everybody got involved. There's like a crowd, this problem, disorder.
Okay.
I didn't do anything.
Okay.
Madam, let us just speak to you. We've been reasonable, lad.
Just let me speak to him, but I don't think you're
Yeah. I'll stay in front of you.
Nothing, that's why I've moved. As soon as I was bullied into it, I didn't do anything.
Well, can I get this?
It's intimidation, that one. We don't know which men will be.
I'm here in support of women. And did you hear what the women said to me?
I didn't hear that, but I think they were slightly concerned. You put your camera right next to Kelly. That's all I saw. I didn't hear the words.
She's being threatened.
That's why they're sensitive.
Oh, sorry. You can talk to people anonymously, my friends. We're here in support of them. We're in support of them.
You did.
Of course, I mean, I don't know if anyone here isn't. That would be weird to me.
I think they were alarmed that you said I can only...
They said that, well, I told them, I said, I'm going to move now. And they was like, well, we can't see, get out of here. And I was like, I am moving. I'm just setting up the camera, you know? And now no one can see because of that ruckus. Well done.
And like I said, we worked very fucking hard. But we don't have have to deal with these egos, and so I just appreciate it if you could just be respectful of what we've created, which often means, because there's so many that we can't speak down there because your voices are too loud. So we come here. So then what we don't expect is we have to ask you when you're like 6'5" to stand at the back and not block a 5-foot woman from view. I'm not making this personal. I am just saying that there is a way that men protect women by. Can you please stop talking? Right. There is a way of standing on the side of women without fucking standing in front of us and speaking for us. And GC men, I'm talking to you as well. There is a way of saying, I support what you do, without saying, let me tell you all about how women feel. Right? There's a way of doing it. And I would just appreciate, otherwise I will fucking tell you very directly what you can do with your support. But it's just, look, we are speaking for ourselves because it's our fucking language that's being eroded. It's our spaces that are being eroded. It's our crime statistics that are being bent. And
I agree with you. Fine! Stand at the back and wait your turn!
okay.
Shut up.
Be quiet, you might learn something!
Hey girls, you're all pretty. So, it was my daughter says that. It's much funnier when she says that.
What was it she said?
So, I'm just saying that sometimes the support you offer is shut the fuck up support. Yes. And speak for yourself, not in place of us, and your bodies can protect us, but not in front of us at all. Like an ally doesn't mean that you get to speak for us, or over us, or in spite of us. It means that you just appreciate that we've created this fucking space so we can speak for ourselves.
Thank you.
So we're standing up for women's rights against the men's sexual rights movement. We have to dare to be honest. We have to take the narrative back. Don't use their language. Don't be afraid to say no to this shit and to say no for participating in these men's fantasies.
This morning I was listening to Jason Manford on Absolute Radio, and he was talking about his little girls. He's training to be a coach or a manager for little girls, and he has to do a safeguarding course. She plays football, right? And anyway, so he was saying sometimes, like I think he was telling a story, they lost 26-0, and actually when you start losing 6-0, you're allowed to bring on other people, so you can build up. I think it might be 5-a-side. You can build up, and so you might have 10 players playing against the other team because your team's losing so badly. And he said we ran out of players. He's telling his comedy sidekick, we ran out of players, so we're having to go for the other team. And the guy goes, because it's a funny joke, why didn't you put on a skirt, Jason? And a wig, and you play? And they're both laughing. He goes, oh, I think J.K. Rowling would have something to say about that. And he's commented about this issue before, very, very naively commented about this issue. But I just want to say, Jason, might be a whole team of boys your daughter has to play a game. And they'll all call themselves girls, and I'm not sure if it'll be that funny anymore, because that's exactly what's happening all over the country. Or there might be one little boy on your daughter's team, like a nice little changing area with your daughter. And it would be, you know, he'd be perfectly welcome, because if he's allowed to play, because he's a girl, why not allowed in the changing room? Because he's a girl. Why not allowed on a residential school trip? Because he's a girl. Kind of gets not so funny. it was funny. The conversation they were having this morning, I thought it was funny. Because it is hilarious. Except it's now happening everywhere. So it's not so funny. It's not like a silly idea anymore. It's actually a blueprint for what's happening everywhere. And it's not just boys of your own age, of their own age, that are playing against 16-year-old girls. It's fucking grown men with beards that are playing against 16-year-old girls, or getting their penis out in the changing room with all those girls in the swimming pool in Canada, where their parents are taking their daughters to that swimming pool and just basically saying, fend for yourself, love. Well done. Which is another theme on the programme Doctors, where a girl says that her friend is non-binary or whatever. It's a boy. And then the dad assumes he's gay. And then her dad's an idiot, and she says, I can fend for myself. And the dad goes, oh, I'm an idiot. Why do you fend for yourself? Teenage girl. Fend for yourself against men and boys. Brilliant. Because that's every dad would do that, right? In fact, I did talk to a dad recently who said my daughters can look after themselves. I just thought, well, you have to take your responsibility then, haven't you? Anyway, you'd like to speak?
Yeah. So first of all, I want to say, I'm sorry, I think it was a misunderstanding because I came here again because I was looking for somebody called Sammy Woodhouse who works for Tommy Robinson. So she said she would be here and I wanted to challenge her. But I just want to say I'm sorry, it really is a misunderstanding. My boyfriends and my husband, boys are friends and husband, they know the rules, I told them. But anyway, now that we've gone over it, I agree with you with the LGBT. I'm a Christian. I think it's actually demonic and wicked what they're doing to children and to women, so I totally agree. But very briefly, I'll just finish off by saying, maybe you know Tommy Robinson, maybe you know, don't, you probably do, but I've discovered that actually I'm really concerned about the fact that many people follow him, and actually he's working with money launderers. Money launderers were on the stage yesterday proclaiming to be Christians. People who, it may be funny to you, but for me it's very concerning.
This isn't what we're about.
Well, I'm allowed to say.
Let women speak.
Why can't I speak it? I'm sorry. I'm allowed to say it's very concerning. If you follow Tommy and the movement, you should find out for yourself why is this person allowing money launderers go to smugglers on stage.
We're not here.
I'm trying to tell you why we're here. If you follow him, you should find out.
I don't think anyone's interested.
I don't think there's many Tommy Robinson followers here.
Do you work with this lady? Sammy Woodhouse, is she your friend?
Hi.
That's fine, I can't try
We're not interested.
Okay, thank you so much.
I'll do the same.
Whatever men's activism is,
Someone just go.
everyone's welcome.
Exactly.
That woman is welcome here because she's
make your own spaces.
free from men in women's spaces.
Go down there.
Any accusations about that man is nothing to do with us.
But that's a bit ignorant. That's like saying, oh, because it doesn't concern me. I thought that it was a place for women to speak. I think it was just focused on LGBT stuff. I didn't know this. And I focus on women. As a woman, I am Christian, as somebody who claims to be a Christian, is interested in men and women, right? But she was going to come here.
I want to tell you all about the men that
Let's see it clearly. Hang on. Hang on.
actually what they're doing is not really packaged.
But she was going to come here, madam. She was going to come here. Right. Right. But I came here to report her. She's not here, so I'm explaining why. And that's fine. I'm leaving now.
Thanks very much, Steve. It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. Come on. It's irrelevant. Thanks. See you later. Come on in. Jog on. Thanks. Bye. See ya. Thanks for the tip. Who's next?
I just want to tell you, if you are buying vegan sausage rolls from Greg's, they don't have meat in. I don't know if that's relevant to you and why you're meeting here today. I don't know if it's relevant. I don't know why it would be relevant. What people are saying at a different rally about a different issue. I just want to say to women who either agree with the rally, hate the rally, somewhere in between about the rally, you are welcome here to come and speak about your rights as women on this fair planet and this beautiful country in which we live. The rest of it, I couldn't care less. I don't care what associations, anybody that's got no association with me, association, big word these days, can get you into a lot of trouble being associated. So if any of you have ever sat on a bus near a person who might have gone to the toilet and maybe had a sandwich with someone, can you just tell me about it before we have a photo? Anyway, if you can stick to the fucking topic, even when those around you might be a little bit batshit crazy, then I promise we will win. If you can come with me to the place where men go.
Got to be done now, isn't it?
Speak to corner so we can let women speak. In a world where so many women can't speak, and Speaker's Corner would be one of the part of that world, if men have their own way, then I promise we will win. And do you know why else we're going to win? Well, quite rightly, I never lose!
I was quite surprised there was such a group because I thought that everyone would have their voice spoken, but why people being silenced these days?
Well, because you're not allowed to say that men aren't women and women aren't men, and that children shouldn't be learning about sexuality or sex at primary school and all those other things that people worry about. Children safeguarding and women's rights, essentially.
Why is there so much legislation at the minute in schools? I heard recently about, people are arguing more about toilets than violent crime that's happening on our streets at the minute.
Well, because toilets is a way of eroding somebody's boundaries, and then if you lose your boundaries, then you're more vulnerable to all sorts of things. So it's boundary erosion is really important. Like it keeps you safe. It just keeps you having a perspective on being able to trust your intuition when you feel something's wrong. And if you get that taken away and eroded as a small person, as a young person, as a child, then you're in all sorts of harm. There's a reason that people who, for example, have childhood sexual abuse, they're overrepresented in people that go into the porn industry, for example. So it's really important that we don't gaslight children into a place and a position where they don't recognise their own boundaries.
So is your concern more for the children as well as women in general at the minute?
No, I think in order to get to children, you erode the status of women, and then you can get to children. I think there's some people that is their goal, is to get to children. I think there are other people that don't realise how much they hate women. So I think that's another reason. But I think it's both. I think 4/5 of the world's women are mothers, and so I think mothers and children are a little bit linked.
Are there certain groups that are against women, would you say?
Men. One word. Just broadly. And I just want to say that awful thing, not all men, but enough of them, that women should be very, very concerned. And look, if you're the sort of man that has so little respect for women, that you think by sticking on our identity as a costume enables you just to carte blanche go into every space and every group and everything we've ever carved out for ourselves, then I think you have shown yourself to be one to watch.
So you're talking more about transgender people coming in?
Well, I'm talking about men who call themselves women. I don't think transgender is a particular group of people. I think they're just men. Yeah. And I think we all bow our heads a little bit when we use their language, because I don't think it's deserving of special words.
Right. And what do you think is happening at the minute to women's spaces?
Men, we don't have them because men are allowed in them. So there's no such thing as women-only spaces, really.
And who's that down to, making those kind of rules and legislations?
Well, it's down to very weak people, stupid people, and people with nefarious intent. So, you know, all it takes for women to lose all their rights is for people to turn a blind eye, and some of those people will be women. Like, there's plenty of women that are willing to give us.
But why do you think they want to get women's rights kind of abolished in a way?
They don't understand that that's what they're doing. I don't think it's like, oh, we're going to take women's rights away, how can we do it? I just think it's so second nature that they don't even understand that's what they're doing.
Is that because those empower men, or just want certain ideologies?
Look, I think there's a bit of Oedipus going on with some of these men. And just look, if you want to go into your kid's school, if you're a mother and you go in and complain, you're not listened to. If you're a father, you are. And I don't think people understand that this happens everywhere, in every sort of aspect of our lives.
And we're now just approaching Speaker's Corner. What do you expect will happen as we arrive?
Well, I expect some men will shit their pants. I don't know. You know, it's terrible of us women to have these voices, but that's exactly what I'm going to go and use now.
So here we are at Speaker's Corner. Speaker's Corner. See what kind of reception Posy Franca gets here. We'll try to stick with her.
We are gathered here today to bring back women's voices. At Speaker's Corner, especially in light of what's happening to women in Afghanistan, because we say to those Taliban fucks, let women speak! Now we will keep coming here, until every single woman around the world is allowed to show her hair without being imprisoned, is allowed to use her voice, is allowed to sing in public if she so desires, and we know that those restrictions happen to men as well. But there are men occupying women's spaces all over the world, and in other countries that includes the space of their own fucking voice. So, shut your fucking mouth.
But women do need guiding sometimes.
We will be saying your reasoning and your rationale that women aren't allowed to speak up your proverbial arse, because those women in Afghanistan, they can't speak. It used to be about those women are not allowed names in life or death. They're someone's mum, they're someone's sister, they're someone's daughter, but they are not someone. Not to the men in their lives, not to the government, not to the people in control. And I kind of thought that was about as bad as it could get. And now, those women are not allowed to speak to each other in public. No one is allowed to hear their voices. And why not? Because those men are so afraid of what happens if they do. And then in Iran, and also in Afghanistan, and remember, and I'm just saying it here again, I know I've already said it, those women had rights. 40, 50 years ago, those women had rights and freedoms. And it only took a theocracy, a dictatorship, and so many to turn a blind eye. There's no marches. Have you seen any marches for those women in Afghanistan? I've not. I've seen no marches for those women.
I can't hear you. Thank you.
Hey. I've seen no marches for those women. I've seen no marches for the women in Iran under the Islamist dictatorship and Hezbollah, who are told that they cannot show their hair. So what happens if they are imprisoned, if they show their hair? Or if they sing?
She gets too much power.
Come and
I don't want my wife to have too much power.
So, come hell or high water, we will come to this place which seems absent of high IQ, somebody and good argument. Next time we'll bring a ladder and we will continue to speak in this space, because I don't know about you, but there's a lot of small dick energy. Tiny dick energy. Teeny. But there's not very much ovaries of steel energy.
Oh, there is now. There is now.
So we are bringing the ovaries back. And what will we do, ladies? We will let women speak. Well done,
You actually don't even know what they're talking about. I've come here to support what they're doing. I've seen what they're doing, and I've come to be supportive. That's well, they're speaking out against men going into women's areas on the grounds that they have changed their gender and things like that, and about men competing in women's sports events. I totally agree with you guys.
There's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with men going into women's changing rooms.
No.
I think there's a big problem with biologically born men going into women's changing rooms, and I can understand why these women are very upset. And they're quite, as you've just seen, sir. They're very upset. We, as men, we should realise that we are men, and we should honour and protect women.
Why do you think they have an issue with that at the minute, though?
Oh, I can understand they've got an issue with that, but the thing is that where this is coming from is the leftist agenda, where basically, you can just self-identify as anything, and you don't have free speech.
What if someone physically changes their body, has surgery, does some kind of transitioning? Would that count as a woman, would you say?
I would say that there may need to be a separate kind of identity created for those people who take that choice.
Yeah, I think that's why they're kind of infiltrating women's spaces, and kind of why they're arguing against
doing this. Well, I think so.
Cool, good to meet you, mate.
Okay, good to meet you.
Let's go.
So we have to go up there because of
20 to 4, so we need to be wrapping up here as well, guys.
Let's go. I had to go up there because Marty Blackburn like 7 foot tall. But yeah, we're going to get out of this crowd. We are going to wrap up here. We was in Hyde Park. I suppose Speaker's Corner is still in Hyde Park, but it was a different spot of Hyde Park. Now down in Speaker's Corner. Everybody's shouting, speaking away, doing the thing. So yeah, guys, here in Hyde Park, Speaker's Corner, we are going to wrap up for the day. We've got to get a coach back to Leeds. This guy's got a bottle on his head. I don't know why that's significant, but I thought it was pretty funny. But yeah, we're going to wrap up, we're going to move on, and we shall see you on the next one.